Hey everybody, looks like we are live. We'll make sure Rumble is up as well. As our special guest, we have AudioFreqs. He is back. We have a new position. It's very interesting, but because you guys are so interested in other positions, I had him look at those really quick as well. So we will try to address all your questions. We'll give people a few minutes to get in here. And let us know if there's any echoes. So I'm going to test echo, and then Matt.
Echo, yeah, echo. Can anybody hear me? Is my volume okay?
Can you guys hear him? And is his volume okay? Do you hear any echoes? Is audio good? He's trying a different setup today. No echo. Sounds good. Okay.
Perfecto. Cool. Awesome.
How often does that happen?
Don't even tell them about the troubles to begin with, right? Don't go there.
Yeah, we won't tell you how long we spent trying to get it working.
Yeah.
Let's see. Are you going on YouTube also? I'm not sure what you mean. Oh, Rumble, because I said Rumble. Yeah. So typically I do YouTube, Twitch, Rumble, and depending on what it is, I also go on X. Now, this is the goal, part of the goal today. So we want to make sure that you thoroughly understand, not to the scientific level, but just the basics of the audio forensics, because we've had Matt on a few times and people were like, this is awesome, but I don't understand it, I don't understand as much as I should be able to understand about this. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start by teaching a little bit about it, and then Matt can add in, and then we'll go into what he's found. And I think that'll be a good way to get this started. And I see a lot of questions about a trunk. Oh, let's see. We see Jordan. Are we going to get Elgeist?
Hi, Jordan.
Is Elgeist in the house? That's the question. All right. So what I'll do is I will start with, make sure you do the poll. Make sure you guys hit that like. That helps push this out. And what I'll do is I will get started kind of with kind of like the basics of audio forensics and what it means and how it's useful, right? What's going on, DL Henderson? Hey, Nikos. All right. And as you can tell, I have updated my logo. People said they had a hard time identifying it, so it's more simple and it stands out more. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started here. So if you haven't followed him already, this is his channel. It's at AudioFreqs. And a lot of the stuff he's done, obviously, is the Charlie Kirk stuff, but he's also interested, correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, but you're also interested in like Butler, Pennsylvania, and like Las Vegas and some of the other things.
I mean, originally I started just for the Charlie Kirk thing, but everybody seems to want me to do more stuff. So there's all sorts of stuff we can do. There's all them underwater ones as well. And there's loads of them all around the world, loads of different events that can be analyzed in this way. JFK, Trump, loads.
So now make sure you go over to his channel, show him some love, watch his videos, subscribe if you're not already. And then what I want to kind of do is I'll do this quick intro here, and then we'll go into what audio forensics is, kind of like the quick version. And then when he starts talking about this stuff, it'll maybe make some more sense to you. A lot of you guys are kind of pointing out that you didn't really know. Sorry, my producer's saying everything sounds good. All right, thank you. But I'll do this real quick, and then we'll jump into it. Audio forensics involves analyzing sound recordings to extract evidence, such as identifying events, timings, and locations in criminal investigations. It doesn't have to only be used for criminal investigations, but that's where it's most commonly used. When it comes to locating the origin of a gunshot, using audio from multiple cell phones, body cameras, dash cams, or surveillance videos, the process relies on acoustic principles like sound propagation and time differences. This technique has grown in importance as more devices capture incidental audio at crime scenes, providing spatial and temporal clues that can help reconstruct events. Now, in layman's terms, audio forensics is like being a sound detective who listens super carefully to recordings from things like cell phones and cameras to solve puzzles, right? That's basically what it comes down to. So, key principles. And actually, let me push to the side. All right, key principles. Gunshots produce distinct sounds that travel at the speed of sound, about 343 meters per second in air. A typical gunshot captures two main components. You have the muzzle blast. That's the explosive bang, right? And then you have the shockwave or crack. And that's if you have a supersonic round. You have a sonic boom from supersonic bullets, and they arrive before the muzzle blast if the recording device is in the bullet's path, right? And that's important to a lot of this stuff. Like people are saying, what about the trunk? Did he shoot into the lake or the pond behind? All those things require that the bullet would bypass or go past the cell phones, Adam Bartholomew's video camera with the audio there. Like it would have to go past and go those routes to make them actually pick up this sonic event. So you can't just kind of say, oh, you can just shoot anywhere and that'll catch the sound. And you can't also get the same effect from a dummy round, right? Because a dummy round is only gunpowder. So that's just your muzzle blast. That's just your bang. But you're not going to get the shockwave and the crack that is seen on a lot of the audio waves because there is nothing moving through the air. So you have to have the bullet moving, okay? These sounds can be distorted by environmental factors like distance, wind, echoes from buildings and terrain, and background noise. In forensics, analysts use spectrograms to identify these signatures and measure precise timings. Typically, and correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, but the more recordings you have, good recordings, the more accurate you can be, correct?
Definitely.
And then there are things already in place that do this, right? A lot of people are saying this is like smoke and mirrors and it's just some BS, right? But a lot of you in your town have something called ShotSpotter or something similar. And basically what it is multiple detectors, multiple audio sensors that are spread throughout your city, especially in towns like Chicago where there's a lot of crime. And what it does is if someone fires a gunshot, it measures the distance and how long it takes for that shot to get to each sensor. And then that gives them a rough trajectory of where that person shot from. And it's pretty quick. I've actually seen it like real time. I've seen, cops are driving down the road and then a gunshot happened a little bit off in the distance and that cop car just turned right around and went back the other way. So it's pretty quick. Real world examples, there's Vera. I know a lot of places use ShotSpotter. And then for forensic case studies, there's a lot of doctors that have their own like proprietary thing. Limitations, synchronization issues. Clocks on devices may drift, requiring advanced algorithms. And then you have, obviously the quality. That's very important. And cell phones can compress the audio. It can add artifacts and that kind of thing. And then also you have mono, stereo, and like Dolby surround that can record, various different types of audio from different frequencies. Now, I'm not an expert, right? I did some audio engineering for about 10 years. So I know the basics of it, but obviously Matt is much more advanced. But what we're going to look at here today is a couple different things. So Matt, just to confirm, the Sorensen Center shooting from this position you have ruled out, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so this is the Dr. Martinson or the white spot on the Kelly Raybon, which I know Adam Bartholomew was trying to maybe say that white spot was from the Losi Center seen from, seen from like that angle or something. But, and then the Losi Center itself, sorry if you guys are getting dizzy over here. This thing is not very user friendly. All right. And then we have the official FBI Tyler Robinson position. That's right here on the Losi Center. And you said you ruled that one out as well, correct?
I did.
Okay. And then today we're going to explore two. And one we're only exploring because so many people asked about it. One is going to be the one that he found that works, which is obviously the most interesting one. And then the other one is going to be the whole John Bray or anyone saying that there was some kind of explosion or something at Charlie's location. All right. So that's kind of the main walkthrough.
Yeah, I think the key word there is temporal. So essentially, we're measuring the difference in time of arrival. It's the same technique as seismic technologies used to send a pulse into the ground and measure what's under the ground, like measures, the pyramids or whatever they're doing over there. It's the same thing you're using radar, location and all of that with the radar. It's exactly the same. It's just done on speakers. That's all it is. So I can take the left hand and the right hand signal of a phone. I can tell which way the sound came from. I can tell whether something happened over there or back there or up there. Depending on which way the phone's leaning, I can say it came from above or below. I can take that. I can use the old ship, like the navigation in ships, pirate ships back in the day. I've got a screen blocking the pirate flag, but pirate ships back in the day would have had that little the little thing that they look through, and they measure the sky and the curvature of the earth, and they can tell where they are on the planet. So I can turn it into a bearing as well. So as long as I know which way the phone's facing, I can say, right, the sound came in from that direction or that direction or that direction. It's very helpful stuff.
Well, and that's a huge distinction between what you're doing and what others are doing, because a lot of people are testing the audio generically, right? They're not separating the stereo field. They're not separating frequencies. They're kind of just taking it at face value directly from the phone or whatever device it may be. So you're actually getting a little bit more detailed than they are.
Yeah, I'm going into more depth, definitely. But I mean, that's just occupational hazard for me, because, that's just generally what I'd do if I was analyzing something, whether it's in mixing or mastering or whatever it is, you take it apart and put it back together so you know how it works, so.
All right, now real quick, a lot of people are saying they like your accent. Can you share with us where you're from?
I am near London. Yeah, not too far away from London in the UK. Yeah. Accent. Thank you, Julia. Yeah, I mean, for me, I mean, all I'm really doing is just measuring it and seeing where it goes. So I have no motive, I have no outcome, I have no emotional investment in what it has to do to be able to survive or the tests or whatever. It doesn't matter to me. It will work out where it works out, and they are the constraints of the physicality of what's been recorded. I mean, yeah, sure, you do mention that phones do add artifacts and they compress and all of that. I think I covered this once before on Jason Goodman's one, but everything's applied equally. With a phone, it's digital. It's not like an old wobbly tape machine that's going to sort of speed up and slow down. It's digital. Once it's applied equally. The reason I'm not using the video with that is because I'd have to know what device it was, and I'd have to know the difference between the audio when it starts recording and when the film starts recording, because the frame rate, I mean, audio records a minimum of 41,000 times quicker than a video. So it's a lot more accurate and a lot more precise if you know how to read the waveforms.
Someone's asking, are you from Queensbury?
Queensbury? I don't know where that is.
No. He's fancier than whatever Queensbury is.
Yeah, don't know what that is.
All right, so how about we just start with let's just get this out of the way. Let's just start with the exploding mic location. Should we do that first?
I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. All right, so a little disclaimer: I am not disproving anybody. I'm not here for that. I'm just measuring the audio and providing what it says. The audio is the constraint. I mean, it's the physicality of what actually happened on the day. It's recorded by tens of devices. It's there. You cannot argue because it's in the audio. The reflections happen because the sound travels at a fixed speed of sound. When I say fixed, it's not actually fixed. Temperature, different mediums that it travels over, different humidities can slow and speed it up and stuff. But ultimately, it's a pretty standard procedure. And as the sound sort of travels out, it's going to hit various walls, various surfaces, and then it's going to go to the microphone. Now, it's not a laser beam. It's a wave front. So it's you know, I might depict it as a straight line, but you've got to imagine it from wherever it's reflecting from or wherever the source is. It's going to start as a small sort of sphere, and it will be sort of misshaped, but we call it a sphere, and it's going to expand out. And anything it touches at an angle, anything it touches straight on, if the wall's facing that way, it's going to send the reflection that way. And that's just the way it goes. And then the reflection itself is going to do exactly the same thing. You're going to get a wave front, which is like the sphere that goes in all directions. It's like think of the difference between like a water pistol or a hose. What's that? Matt, TriggerSmart, not bearing time out. No. Okay. So think of the difference between a hose and a wave on the beach. You know, the wave on the beach is only going to go so far. It's only got so much pressure behind it, you know, whereas the hose is going to throw the water out, you know. And that's kind of the difference between the wave front and the lobe. The center of the lobe is the strongest point at which a reflection can be heard. Just because you're off center doesn't mean you can't hear it. You'll just hear a smeared version, and the further away you get, the more sort of diffused and smeared that will get. So that is essentially all I am doing, is testing the map against the audio, measuring the milliseconds of where the reflections are in the audio. I'm going to just open one up, share screen. There we go. I think I'm sharing. Yep. Okay. I can't actually just hide that. So yeah, as you can see here, I've cut it and colored it. So we've got the initial instance, which is the actual the shot or the crack, whatever you want to call it. You've got the first reflection, second reflection, third reflection. It's very small, but it's there. And then you've got the sort of reverb. It's sort of like the atmospheric shift after the fact. You know, you have all of these echoes, and then the reverb sort of washes in and out in different directions. All of that is measurable, and all we have to do is essentially put it on the map. So taking Google Earth Pro, I believe it is, yeah, you can easily download this and test it. I mean, I will give the model away at the end anyway. So if we imagine the circle here, I can't draw a sphere, I'm afraid, but this is the sound wave going out. And as you can see, it's going to hit all of these steps. You're going to get a flutter of reflections coming back to where Charlie Kirk is there. So any mic that's in this sort of front area is going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 reflections, maybe 4, because the lower one might be too low for the mic to pick up. It's going to keep increasing out. You can see it's going to hit these steps. It's going to hit this side. It's going to hit this side. It's going to hit this bit here. It's going to hit this end bit here. It's going to come straight back. It's going to hit this wall over here. It's going to come straight back. Same with over here. So,
and real quick, just to be clear, all of the green pins are an area where audio was recorded from a microphone.
Yes. I should have said that, really. Yeah. So my test here was to just test the map. So originally, when I started, my first test was map test, and that was to show from the mic where the distance works out to. Does it fit in the map? It's a quick test just to see if it works. If it fits, then I can carry on and I can say, okay, it works. Let's move on. Let's make it more complex, and then we can back that up afterwards. So I basically run that with the explosive mic today. And unfortunately, you've got everything as a failure except one, which is that green line there. Can you see that? Hopefully you can. So if the explosion came from here, none of these reflections are available, and you would expect them to, well, be there, you know, at least 50% of them would have been there. So if an explosion happened here, the only one that survives is here. And for that reason, I can't pass it as an explosion from the center, at least.
Now, just playing devil's advocate, is it possible that since it's inside the shirt, bouncing off the tent, there's a lot of people, is it possible that that could have muffled or blocked a lot of those natural reflections that actually didn't make it to these locations?
No. So it's a wave. I mean, it's just washing through everything. People do absorb a tiny little bit of sound, but essentially we're just bags of water, and water doesn't block sound. You go on. I don't know how to sort of explain it. Water does absorb the high end frequencies, but you stick a bass wave through whatever, stick it in the ocean, it will travel 20 times further in the ocean. Maybe not 20, but it will travel further in water than it will in the air. So water doesn't really solve the issue, neither do human bodies. I mean, as far as the tent's concerned, it's made of thin plastic. There's no mass there to stop audio. That's the only thing that stops it, is mass. It's the only thing that can redirect bass waves, is mass. Treble, like higher frequencies, they're a lot easier to sort of bounce and sort of turn corners and sort of, interact with the environment. But as soon as you get down below 250 hertz, which is sort of the low end of your voice, as soon as you get below there, you're not stopping it unless you have something big enough, like, I don't know, a massive building. This one, that one, perfect. You are right. This is not easy to control, but yeah, these ones are big enough, you see, and we can judge the size of what reflects, you see. So if you bear with me a second, a bass wave at 40 hertz is 8.5 meters long by 4.3 meters wide. Yeah. And I think 30 hertz is like 12 meters long and even wider, so that it's like it's logarithmic. So if a bass wave was to travel through this courtyard, there's absolutely no way this structure here, these pergolas, could stop it. It would just mold around it and go straight through and hit behind and come straight back again. It wouldn't even notice it there. And that kind of goes the same for glass as well. I mean, the glass would let the bass through, and it would reflect the treble, maybe some of the mids back out, But I mean, so I can actually use the frequency of the reflection itself and see what audio content is in that reflection. And then I can say, okay, is that surface, one, made of the right medium? Is it the right material? Or two, is it big enough to actually to reflect it back to the mic? And it's a far more accurate way of testing than anything that I know about.
Can you real quick? There's some people that are a little bit confused. Can you zoom in on the location of the mic on that map?
Should we go above it?
Yeah, like straight down is fine, and then you should be able to like mouse scroll down.
You'd think so.
Okay, so hold there. Okay, so picture the tent, right? So for anyone who's confused, so the tent is where he's moving the hand right now, okay? And that is where an explosion would happen on Charlie. So what he's saying is, based on an explosion there, these other microphones, which are these green pins, did not pick up the audio or reflections that you would expect if there was an explosion there. Yeah.
I mean, so to go into a little bit more detail, if you look at PETN, I think it is, which is a high explosive, you're talking well in excess of 150 decibels, all the way up to 200 decibels. That's enough to blow your eardrums. That's a loud bang if you're close enough to it. So take a balloon, for example, like just an ordinary party balloon. You blow that up, tie a knot in it, and pop it. That's 120, 115 decibels, and there's not enough energy in that explosion to hurt a human. So think if you're taking out a 6'5" man with an explosive device, there is no way to hide it. There's just, you can't. I mean, I say you can't. I say it's improbable, because I can't measure it on any of the mics, even the ones that are like in this area down here. I've got one that's like 5 meters in front of Charlie Kirk, right on the fence. There's no explosion. There's no extra sound. I have seen, I think it's William Cumby. He's been trying to pester me to give him the answers for why he's registering 2 peaks, which I'm not going to go into. But just because there's 2 peaks, it doesn't mean there was 2 events. It depends on the relationship of them peaks. There's so much more involved when it comes to audio. So, you know, I will get to that though, because I do know exactly what he's looking at, but I just can't get to it yet because I've got to kind of protect the integrity of the analysis itself. If I start jumping about and making conclusions on things, and people hold it to me, you know, hold it against me later, I'm just not going to do that to myself or the test. So,
I just want to say really quick that you know, like there's obviously a lot of theories going around. There's the exploding mic, there's the shot from behind, there's the Losi Center, there's the Sorensen building, there's the fake death theory, right, where there was a gunshot that happened. And so this isn't to disprove specific theories, and this isn't to even necessarily say 100% this is where an event happened, right? I have to say that for YouTube. But
yeah, no, it's 100%. It's correct as well, because I mean, yes, it indicates there's a strong possibility, but until I layer it up with other data, it's just one measurement, you know, of 4 mics. So I mean, I have to layer it up and keep layering it up, and eventually it just becomes undeniable, you know.
So now people are saying which location works. So let's switch gears.
Dun dun dun. Which location works? So you want to see that one first?
Yep.
Okay. Let's turn off the explosive mic. So let's just shoot a 2. So the one that comes, this red pin here, I've just done it from the red pin. Now, it's a wave front, so it's something to be mindful of. You can move it 5 meters this way. You can move it 5 meters that way, down, up. It will give you the similar results, you know, like it might skew it slightly, you know, but ultimately this is why I'm not too worried about a millisecond in difference here or there, because it's so minimal. It's not going to change the angle at which it's pointing. So, I mean, alleged shooter 2 totally worked. I mean, and it was just like, whoa. So let's turn on 12 because we was there anyway, and we'll just quickly put them through. So the direct path, the first instance of sound that you hear that sounds like a crack or a gunshot, whatever you want to call it, it's irrelevant. I mean, it's a reflection test, so that is where the purple line stops. I mean, he might be firing it this way, you know, allegedly might be firing it this way, but it's a sound wave. It's going to go in all directions. So this is why we hear it on all the mics. And then we have early, late reflections, the alleged thump, which is the main reflection. I still think it's a reflection. I'm not quite convinced on a thump yet. But each one of them is a pass.
So green is pass and red is fail.
Red's fail, green's pass. Yep. So if we okay, so this one was a little bit funny actually, because you can't measure the angle with Google Earth Pro. You can't do the diagonal. So I had to measure the top of this building, the top of that ledge. I then had to work out the offset, and then I could work out the angle, and it gave me the measurement. I think it was 16 centimeters. Yeah, that's how, you know, it's pretty accurate stuff. I mean, 16 centimeters off is an absolute pass, isn't it? You know, so let me close that up. And all the early reflections passed. You know, the second one came off the fountain. Third one came from this wall, and you know, okay, yeah, sure, it's a little bit unorthodox, shall we say? But when you think about the pressure event of you know, think Dragon Ball Z, think like superhero, think like that energy ball that just keeps growing, and as it does, it's going to graze over the top of this grid, and then it's going to slide down this wall, and the wall is going to angle it back to the mic.
So can you explain to people how you figure out if one is good or not? Like how do you decide if an angle works or doesn't work?
Literally, does it like the excess path? So let me just show you how do I get to where I need to go? Excuse my messy folders, but what I've done is I've cut up the audio, as I said. I've measured the milliseconds. If you look down here where my mouse is in the bottom left of the screen, if I hover over the highlight section, I can see how many milliseconds it is. You know, add the next one in, it tells me where the next one is. You know, it's pretty simple. I've then taken that information and dumped it into an Excel grid, labeled them up, color coded them, given them groups. So we can see that this whole section here, they're all about 20 milliseconds. That's 7.27 meters in distance as far as the speed of sound for the temperature and ambience of that day. I think it was 346.2. I think I've worked this one out. Yeah, 346.2. So that was an average as well, because I got 3.8 and then I got one less, and it was like, you know what, I'll just average it 50% halfway between what they, you know, what it works out as. So that works fine. And again, even if you're out by 1 or 2, it's not going to change the angle. It's, you know, it might move slightly left a little bit, but it's not enough to change the result over the distances we're talking about here, which is like 130 meters maximum, you know. So I can then say that 7.27 meters, I can then work out the path. So you see, so the direct path is 31.3 meters. The excess path is 7.27. Then I add them together, I get 38. I put in a marker on the alleged location. I stick one on the mic, and I literally sweep all the way around, trying my best to make it fit. And if it matches somewhere, I then have to test the frequency. I have to test the size. I have to test whether it's actually physically, angularly possible, you know, as far as a wavefront and a lobe is concerned, you know, and all of these worked out. So,
and just to be clear, one fail is a complete fail, right?
Yeah, definitely. So the pergola.
So if any one of these angles were to fail from any of these microphones and any of these reflections, then even if the other 4 or 5 were correct, that one failing makes the whole thing not work.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you got to imagine like the shape of what we're dealing with here. I mean, you can sort of imagine there's a big long line there. It's almost square, isn't it? You know, I mean, we've got an angle cut out of this corner, but even with the angle, the geometry, you know, even if you made it a triangle, the geometry of it is, you know, it can work in multiple places. So this is why one failure fails the whole lot. Because you know, you have to find it, you know. So the pergola, this is actually frequency dependent, this one, you know, and frequency characteristics. Because if we look on the chart, LR1 30, what would we there, 70, where are we? This one, wasn't it? LR1 74 77. You can see it's only existed in the top, it's not in the bottom, which is a good indicator that it came from something really small. And what have we got that's really small at that distance? These pergolas. So wherever you want to put it on them pergolas, go nuts. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant to the test. A reflection came back off of these without a shadow of a doubt. And same with this hard fountain. These are stone blocks. You know, stone reflects. It's, you know, if a pressure event happened here and it traveled this way, these are all stepped up. Whether there's water in there or not is irrelevant. It's going to go through that water, hit the stone, it's going to come straight back to the mic. So all of them work, and there's a big indicator. So the alleged thump, is the side big enough? Is it made out of the right material? Well, absolutely. Look at the size of it. I mean, that's 10 meters across, that square, nearly, anyway, just under 10 meters. I think, yeah, in the US, you still use feet, don't you, rather than meters?
So I just want to break this down for people, because one of my goals of this live,
do it.
It is not just to feature what you've shown and what you found, but also want them to understand the whole idea of what's going on. So for anyone that's lost, sorry, my producer's accidentally clicking stuff. For anyone that's lost, the point of this and what's actually happening is, so can you zoom in? Can you like scroll forward closer to that alleged shooter 2 spot? All right. So on the right, you see this red pen. That would be the alleged shooter, right? that means that the gunshot noise, the audio from that noise, is originating from that spot.
Yeah.
What he's doing then is he's testing the reflections at all the different angles that the audio will travel, right? So it's going to go like the whole Mach cone and everything that Algaze was talking about. You're having audio spread out in every direction. And he's basically testing when the audio is bouncing off of different surfaces, would those surfaces cause the audio to go into one of these other microphones, and the timings, right? The amount of time it should take to get there based on the speed of the sound. So that's what he's testing. And when he's talking about like the fountain and the stones and the buildings, he's basically just saying the characteristics of what happens to the sound when it hits that surface and what he's expecting to come back from it.
Yeah. And does it match? You know, is it achievable? Does it match? Can it be tested like with frequency and amplitude and things like that? And absolutely, you know, yeah, absolutely spot on. So, like I said in the audio, we had all the early and late reflections originally, which these are like the knocks, so that, you know, like I haven't got the audio activated, but like it's like all the actual reflections. As you can imagine, a gunshot is like a quick sound. It's an impulse. It's not like a violin which holds note down or anything like that. So with that, you can literally trace it, bang, 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 where it reflects from, and then afterwards you're going to get sort of like that sort of reverb effect. Is like the R1 and R2 is what I've called them here. So I'm measuring it traveling one way and then traveling the other way, essentially. And now it might be depicted a little bit funny, and I'll show you what I mean in a bit once we get to the right one. It might be this one, but oh no, I didn't actually draw anything on this one apart from the circles. So the circles are at the right distance. I should have put a line in to both of these locations, but I haven't done it. But I'll explain what happens. So the pressure event happens, like the sound, it starts from the pressure event of the gunshot. That radiates out in a big sphere, as I mentioned. It's going to hit this wall over here. It's going to then shoot back to the mic, which will give you R1. Now, usually what you'd have is R2 would come out the back end of this mic and then come back. But it's not always the case. And this is why I don't go to R3, 4, 5, because it kind of gets really wild. You know, you don't have to. R2, I can explain, is the same event as R1, but it's actually made it through this gap, hit the low C center itself, and traveled back to the mic. So anything else other than that is just being lost in crowd. I mean, you can imagine by that point the crowd is starting to go, whoa, you know, and a lot of the sound's going to come over the top. Anyway, you'll get a little bit come back, but I think I just stopped at 2. There's no point going any further. So for this mic, absolutely it passes. I don't know if I put anything in inspected, not on this one, but we did on the others. So does that kind of make sense, Matt?
Yeah, and I think that so people are asking like what does this mean? Well, this means that if there was a shooter somewhere in that general location, that in theory, based on the audio that he's seeing with the techniques he's using, if someone did fire from that location, that would technically work based on what he sees in the audio from all these other things.
Absolutely.
Now, there could end up being more than one location that works. Yeah. He's only tested, what, 3 now? 4?
Yeah, 3, yeah. So, I hadn't the mic explosion, but 3, yeah. So I mean, my instinct now is sort of to push on this one, because, you know, it's unlikely to work out anywhere else, considering where the microphones are and all of that, and the other shooter locations. There is, I think Jason Goodman said about Under the Tunnel, but he also said it was a quiet gun and in sync with the shot from wherever. So I mean, without audio from the actual tunnel itself, it's really hard to sort of test that. So I'm going to keep an ear out for that one, and I think I'm just going to lean on this to see and to see whether it withstands scrutiny. So again, it's like my thing here is just a process of elimination. So it's like, does it stand up? Okay, it works, great. Move on to the next test. Let's tighten it up. Let's add some more data. Let's add some more mics. You know, and let's just test how it responds. And I think once you get 4 mics all giving you the same, you know, thumbs up saying yes, this works, it's really kind of hard to argue, you know. So again, front left 15, shoot at 2, direct path again, early reflection. I'll just switch them on, so you know we don't have to sort of explain every single one. Again, I can explain the obscure ones though, can't I? So this one down here, absolutely the same deal as this corner here for the other mic. As the pressure event comes down, again, he's aiming it downwards, and it's a sphere and it's growing. And as it sort of hits this edge, it's going to brush across this whole edge here. So depending where the mic is, you're going to hear it from there, depending on where you twist that mic to. So where it is right now, it makes sense that it's going to graze that step. I mean, these steps aren't small either, are they? They're quite substantial. I mean, when you see people standing on them, they're quite substantial. They sort of come up to your knees, you know, maybe. So as this mic is lower than that one, then it's going to give you a reflection. So that's why I placed that one there. These ones work out. I mean, if a shot went there, it's going to hit this ledge here. It's going to reflect, sorry, not refract. It's going to come, you know, again, it's going to hit this here. It's going to come out. It's going to travel down. There is line of sight there. You know, I can't really get much closer, but yeah, there is. And again, it's a wavefront. So it's going to hit this edge. It's going to clip and it's going to come down anyway. So ultimately, all of the early reflections work there, and that's a good indicator to carry on. The thump works out to this side over here. It's concrete, it's large enough, you know, frequency-wise, so thump absolutely works as well. Again, R1 and R2, these ones I actually drew the lines in. Now this one, this is what I was going to say about, like, the R1 and R2 is not exactly, it doesn't visualize the way it actually happens. So if you can imagine, the sound starts here, it's traveling this way, it's going to hit, you know, R1 here. Sorry, it's going to hit this side and come back. It's going to hit this side and then bounce back, and then it's going to come back. And that's R2 there. I believe that's R2. Yes.
Now we have someone asking a pretty interesting question. So what is the what is the margin for error in testing this way?
A few milliseconds, you know. If you think speed of sound, I think every meter is 2.8 milliseconds. So if you're within, you know, 3 to 5, you know, 5's probably pushing it, but like depending on the distance, because the further away you are, the bigger that margin gets, because you have different mediums to travel through, different air densities, different temperatures, microclimates along the way. So, you know, there is a little bit of a discrepancy. And the other side of it is as well, when you're measuring, if you've got loads of background noise, where does the actual transient start? Where does it actually start? Sometimes it's a little bit, you know, hidden. So you have to sort of say, okay, this is where it changes. Okay, we'll put it there. And if it's 3 milliseconds out, it's going to make it's going to change it by a meter. You know, it's not going to change much. You know, so if that helps. So yeah, absolute pass on this one. I think this one actually has an expected as well. So let me turn all these off. We can actually use what I did to trace the sound as it bounces around the courtyard. Starts there, follows this orange arrow, hits there, comes down here, bounces off this wall. It's absolutely right. It will come over here, it will bounce off there. Yeah, hit there. This is R2, and it will bounce back down here. So when I depicted R2, it was this way, see? So it looks as if it's going back to the mic and coming back again, but that's just the measurement to the surface, you know? Whereas it's actually traveling from over there, because that's where R1 finished, you see? So hopefully that explains that a little bit more. So it's not always laser beam, you know, it's just a wave, you know. I don't know really how to explain that, but yeah, you can trace it down, bounces back off the mic and shoots there, and all the reflections map up with what we've got in the audio. So again, it's not,
Which so far nothing else has. The other ones had several failures.
Yeah, everything's failed so far apart from this location. So We drop into alleged shooter 2 for.
All right, now let me share this really quick.
Yeah.
So this is the Paramount Tactical. I don't know what you want to call it. This is his version. This is his contribution. You know, he went out there and they flew their drones and did LiDAR mapping, and it's a pretty detailed. It looks great, but they went through and we had one of these before they did, but theirs is nicer. But so this is basically showing the path that each of these can take, and those red lines are going from these shooters from various locations. And the whole idea of this was to see if you can actually shoot and hit Charlie, right? And obviously, we're not showing any gore or anything YouTube. But if you look at this, these were the locations, the original locations that Range Day Bro was saying that were, you know, possibly what was going to be done. So yours is showing it up here on the roof, correct?
Yeah, somewhere up there. Could be the back, could be the front, could be the door below where the pin is. You know, it could be anywhere around there.
Okay, so yeah, so this guy here in the back, and it's really hard to navigate around the software. So I apologize if it's jumping everywhere. But this guy right here, the angle that he would need to hit Charlie is, as you can see, shooting through the building. So there is a 1 foot gap here that I think Range Day Bro did bring up at one point. And depending on that gap and the exact angle, there might be a line of sight. But based on everything that, you know, that Paramount looked at, that I looked at with our model, didn't look like he did have a line of sight. This other guy up front definitely would, but then people said he'd be seen. There's this is open right here. So all the people that were underneath here and up here on top would see him easily. So, and not to mention back here, both of these guys are right in front of the windows. So to get up here and be up here and hang out in this area, they're being seen by all these other, you know, other buildings and stuff. They're looking right at them. So it's interesting that you say this location works.
Because I think it's interesting to me as well.
Because it seems like based on everything else, people were basically feeling like it wasn't possible, right?
Well, I mean, go on, carry on. Sorry.
Well, and you can see here that both of those locations on the side of the building have a line of sight. But now when you go to the top of the building, the issue we had is you couldn't see through the tent.
Yeah.
So anything up, let me see if I can get, like I said, this is horrid to try to move around. All right, see if I can get, oh, there we go. But yeah, anything up here on this top part, you're shooting through the tent. So they would have to, you know, have a perfect shot and some luck to be able to make that happen. And people were saying, well, could they have like some kind of technology that the camera behind them was aiming and they were just like shooting with that? I'm sure they could, but it seems pretty far-fetched that they would actually use something like that. And then also people were saying, did he use some kind of like thermal to see through the tent? And that's not how thermal works. Thermal measures the surface temperature. So they wouldn't be able to see through the tent, at least with any technology that I'm aware of. And I have thermals. So this is very interesting. This raises a lot of questions.
It does raise a lot of questions. I mean, I will add a little caveat to that is all of these Marine snipers should know a little bit more about bullet tech. It's come a long way over the years. You know, you can you see my screen there, Matt? A second.
Oh, hold on. Let me put you back up.
That's all right. You can look this up on Wikipedia. I mean, there's loads of it. They've been steering bullets since 2015. You know, so to just naturally assume it needs to go in a straight line these days is just as insane as a bullet that can be steered. You know, so whether that's, you know, these are 50 caliber, but I mean that was 2015. Who's to say that they didn't stop developing? I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a bullet or gun guy. I'm just looking into it, thinking, well, could it be done? Is there anything that could do that? And it turns out that
I would say that at this close of a distance, I would say it's probably not going to be able to be steered enough at this close of a distance to make a difference. Now, if you're back at 300-400 yards, you have a lot more time to manipulate it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Yeah, that's really interesting though.
Yeah, I mean, just throwing it out there for giggles, really, because like it's like it's possible. There's so many variables that we aren't even aware of. So you don't know what sort of tech these massive billion-pound companies have or whatever. I don't know, but I mean, if you can look something up like this, can you steer a bullet, and it throws out this from Wikipedia, then it's pretty standard information if Wikipedia has it. And it's just throwing it out there. So whether or not it happened, I have no idea. I don't even know how you'd test something like that. But I can say that I don't think Tyler Robertson had a 44-inch long gun on him, especially when he jumped off the back of that thing. That did not look like a 44-inch long gun. That should have come up to his sort of chest. He was covering something up, and it looks like it was about that long. So could it have been a laser red pointer? I mean, if people want to chuck conspiracies and theories about that, I mean, we can go completely nuts. But like, ultimately, something happened, and the echoes work out to this location so far. And that's all I can really say, is that I'm only doing the sound. I don't know enough about guns, bullets, anything like that to really weigh in. I can sort of come at it from a sort of conspiratorial sort of side and say, well, it's possible, but then there's loads of things that are possible, so don't know.
There is a someone brought this up too in the chat. I can't remember what the name of the tech is, but this guy has a helmet that he created, and it has, the obviously has like the glasses, and it's all attached through AI and satellites and all that kind of stuff, and drones and everything are involved. So it is possible, based on that technology, that if there's a line of sight of any of the drones or people, or if there's an airplane that's equipped or whatever it is, if they can see Charlie, then the person shooting can see where Charlie's exact position is through the tent with that technology.
Well,
now, if that was used or not, I have no idea.
Well, I see another one as well. I mean, while we're on technology, it's like there was drones in the sky, and there was people walking behind the container, and the people on the other side of the container could, like, I don't know whether it was a pair of glasses or something, or like a virtual reality device, but you could literally see them walking behind and coming out the other side. It was like, whoa, this is like next level.
Yeah, that was the same tech. And
same stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, network together. Exactly. I mean, I don't know enough. I mean, I'm just a sound engineer. I'm just a nerd, I'm afraid. It's just a dork that measures the audio. So, like, as far as all of that stuff, I mean, we could speculate all day. We can sit there guessing, but ultimately, we just test the audio and see what it says. Then, if we've got constraints, then we'll have to explain what fits in them constraints. But until we've got any constraints down, then we haven't got anything. We can guess all the inputs you like and make it do whatever you like. It doesn't matter, like if you're guessing. But if we just use the audio, we'll see what's available, and then we can tighten it up and we can move forward from there. Maybe Matt, maybe Zeb Boykin as well. Jason's good with video, like maybe we can all sort of like say, okay, what works? What's a plausible thing to say, because I can't commit based on a couple of measurements. It needs more after I'm done,
So George's Garden is saying, I'm late. You may have answered this. Is there any way to tell the caliber of the round? So have you done anything where you compare?
Yeah, there is ways to tell the caliber of the round from the sound of the shot. And that generally, it depends on whether you can measure the Mach cone. Because if you can measure that, you can measure the Doppler effect as the bullet goes past and changes pitch. You can then measure how fast it was going, and then obviously the pitch of what it is will tell you how big the bullet is. Does that make sense?
So have you done any of that, or do you know?
No, not yet. That's like 3 or 4 tests away, like this is just reflections at the moment. I mean, maybe I can look into that later, but I mean, ultimately we have. Well, yeah, it's possible if you've got a decent enough recording. Like if you imagine a you know, as I said, audio records 41,000 times quicker than video, shall we say, on average, right? But you can increase that to 128,000 times, or, you know, like it goes right up. And if your recording's above 96 kilohertz, which is 96,000 revolutions per second, so that's a hell of a lot quicker than what we're getting at 41, then you can actually measure the shock wave itself. And this is what my problem with crack to thump was, crack to bang, whatever you want to call it. You know, where is the bullet when you measure the crack? Because if that bullet is 15 meters out, then you're 15 meters out at the other end. There's no way to escape that. Unless you know where that bullet is, and unless you can't know where that bullet is unless you know, unless you've recorded it in the audio. And if you had it in the audio, you'd be able to plot trajectory, you'd be able to plot sizes, you'd be able to plot all of this stuff. But the problem we have is all of the recordings are like 41, 48K. So that essentially means there's the phone is giving you an interpretation of a shock wave, and it's not actually running quick enough to record the actual event. You know,
right,
it's just giving you a version of it.
So we have people asking specifically that can you do it? Well, basically they're asking about the mic. So the exploding mic location.
Back to that one. Okay. What's that? Yep. What are they asking?
Basically, if you can show if it works, because everyone, a lot of people are putting a lot of weight in John Bray's theory.
Yeah, I'm not here to put anyone down or tell them that they're wrong, because their theory, mine are just measurements off the audio, but you have to understand that certain things like explosions, they're bound by physics. You can't have something that can actually take out and kill a 6'5" man, and it make less noise than a popped balloon. And if I could measure a popped balloon in that area, then why wouldn't I measure something that could kill a human, especially an extra large one? I mean, I'm a hobbit. I live in the Shire. I'm only 5'10". He's 6'5". I'd break my neck looking at him. And the obviously size and mass comes into it, but it comes back down to this map test. I mean, for the people that are late in, if an explosion happened here, we'll do the circle again. I like the circle. If an explosion happened here, all of these places here that I've got a red line on are going to create. You're going to expect to see at least 75% of them, and not one of them make it in time. So it stands to reason that an explosion couldn't have happened there, unless there's some sort of advanced tech that I don't know about. But a high PT, what is it, PETN? That is a high explosive. I mean, you go on YouTube and watch a video of a tiny little bit of that going off. Put that next to your eardrum. That's going to blow your eardrum out.
Everything that I saw looked like it was around between 160 and 180 decibels.
Yeah, up to 210. Some of it depends on how much you use, doesn't it? So it's like, it's one of those things. But that's not to say that something like that didn't happen, but you've got to change it from shape charge, because a shape charge is like a high explosive. You can't escape the fact that it's going to be loud, and that pressure event is going to be louder than the gunshot that is recorded on all of these mics, because it's closer to all of the mics. Even if it was the same volume, it would appear louder. And another thing that would happen is a separate event would cause phase issues, right? So one event will go off and you can see the wiggly line. If another one went off inside that wiggly line, it's going to make its own wiggly line. You're going to get a lot of phase issues, So that's another thing that you can measure, And again, stereo testing will tell us as well, because I can test left from right. If I took the front right, if I had a stereo one on the front right 12, I think that this one's actually, all of these are mono, which is why I've picked these ones. But if I take a stereo recording from next to him, I can tell whether the sound came from back here or over there, you know. And if an explosion happened there, the left or the right speaker is going to absolutely hear that massively, you know, and it's going to be a dramatic spike compared to the gunshot because it's 12 meters away. This is 50 meters away, you know. So you can't rewrite the laws of physics, unfortunately. Though I'd like to help some of these guys out because, you know, they seem like real cool guys. But, you know, and I love watching their experiments. You know, it's so interesting. But, you know, they have to fit their experiment in with the audio because the audio is something that we do have. You know? Early and late reflections for the front right 45 thump and the repeat of the thump, right? So if 12 got a thump from this locations, it's plausible that this one did as well, you know, absolutely. And the repeat of it comes down to this bottom step down here somewhere, you know, and again, you're going to get a big, it's a loud event, like the amplitude of it, it doesn't matter where you stand left or right of that line, you're going to hear it. I mean, I don't know, maybe you've heard this if you've been shooting out in the wild, Matt, you know, like you fire your gun, the sound bounces off that side, travels across that side and then comes back to you. Yep. You know, you can literally hear the sound, the echo traveling away from you, you know, and that's because it's a wave, it's a wavefront, it's coming at you as well, but it's just in a lesser energy form. You know, you're gonna get more sort of smearing and diffusion. You know, so does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So whether it hits straight on or at an angle, I mean, if you took this line here and you stood over here, you would get a really strong reflection. If you stood at 90 degrees, then you're going to get sort of a smeared reflection, but you're still going to get the reflection. So, you know,
okay, so this is the poll that we just did. It said, which theory is your front runner? The exploding mic is 75%, is what most people believe. Tyler Robinson's 3%, fake death is 15%, and shot from behind is 8%.
Yeah. I mean, belief is belief. I mean, ask David Blaine. Yeah, you know, you can believe what you like. I mean, these are measurements based off the physical audio that we have recorded on multiple devices of the same event. I mean, you can argue it if you want, but it's not going to change the fact that it's there.
Well, I think it's important. Yeah, I agree. I think it's important that people don't get too married. Don't get too married to the theory, right?
It's like what I'm saying here. Although I'm saying this is working for this location, I'm not saying it's 100%. I can't say it's 100%. It's just a few measurements off of a few mics to that location. And what makes it 100% is everything that comes after. Is when we start looking at the actual crack, the actual thump, we start marrying everything together and we start going through. Can we determine how fast the bullet was going? Can we determine the pitch? Can we determine the difference between one mic, the other mic, and the offset between that? Can we use that to point and navigate using conics? You know, this is all forensic stuff. You know, this is like hyperbolas and parabolas, all of that stuff. You know, so you know.
All right,
sorry.
So there's a couple of different questions. I don't know if you saw the video that I did with Jordan Hinshaw and Algeist, but there was another physicist that had seen some anomaly that maybe he saw like some interference or something from a drone.
Right.
And that was mostly, so if you zoom in on your screen, it was mostly by that big water area by the pagodas.
Over here.
Yeah, over there. All the mics in that area seem to have some kind of anomaly. And I noticed the mics that you're testing aren't in that area. So I don't know if you've messed with it at all, but
no, I will keep an ear out for it. I've got another one over here, I think, or it might be this side, one of these sides. There is an anomaly in there. It feels like, it's like, I don't know how to sort of explain it. Like the audio as it plays through, it feels like the phase is twisting. And I can hear it in the headphones. It sounds like it's been doctored, you know. So I think at this stage, I think you've got to be careful of what you take in, because there's lots of people out there. I got one sent to me and it was like, look, I can hear it. It says, get down. And then I played it. It's like they've run that through a distortion panel. And I've got the distortion plugin panel that they've got on my computer. So I'd recognize it, and I was like, the only reason it's run through a distortion panel is because distortion introduces extra harmonics to the audio, and them extra harmonics are going to cover up the cuts. And then you can balance that. You can say, is it in phase with the recording? Is it out of phase with the recording? Is the amplitude pronounced, or is it sort of sunken in? There's all sorts of things. It takes a trained mixing engineer to mix a track, and this is why you get, like, some of these mixing engineers will charge you £10,000 to mix a track, is because they've spent years developing the skill of being able to listen to the audio in a way that you guys don't comprehend. It's all them fine little details using psychoacoustics, measurements to create and make all this space. All the stuff I'm doing here, it's the same stuff. I've just reversed it and used it to analyze rather than used it to make something.
Now, is there any chance that phase cancellation could have been from, like, just say theoretically, if there was 2 separate shots at the same time from different locations? No,
because phase cancellation. So let's just have a little look at that real quick, right? So in a digital format, right, it's a really easy thing to sort of explain. Imagine you've got an S, right? On the left-hand side, you've got a positive peak. On the right-hand side, you've got a negative peak. If I duplicate that into another track and flip one of the waveforms, +1, if you add +1 to -1, you get 0.
Yep.
Which you have no sound there. Now, it happens in natural settings as well, of course. Of course it does. Equal and Newtonian law, isn't it? Equal and opposite force cancels it out. So if you had 2 frequencies coming from 2 sides that hit each other, you could expect a bit of phase, and it will cancel it out. But I don't see it being that much of an issue. I mean, how much do you notice phase cancellation when you're walking down the road? You don't. You don't even know, because it's gone. It's not even there. So it's either measured or it isn't, as far as I'm concerned, in this test. So phase cancellation, no, it doesn't really pose much of an issue.
So now, did you want to start jumping into questions? Do you feel like there's anything?
Yeah, can do. I mean, yeah, absolutely. So,
Right,
yeah.
Let me get that set up here. All right, let's see. So this is saying, I wonder if the trunk opens and the car stereo plays the recorded sound, or same thing, if it played through the PA system. What are your thoughts on that?
No chance.
No chance. Yeah, I would agree.
I'll tell you why, right? The sound system, I've got the manufacturers, I've got the speakers, I've got the manufacturer, I've looked through the specs, and 1, it cannot create the amplitude that we've measured, yeah? 2, it cannot go down low enough to create the bass. I mean, I've recorded it all the way down past 19 hertz, and I'm still getting that sonic event, down at 19 hertz, and the speakers only create 45. They only go down to 45 hertz maximum. So there's no way. And another thing is, natural sound goes everywhere. Speakers are directional. If it was coming through the PA system, it would be traveling that way. I don't point as much as I like. It will be traveling this way, wouldn't it? All the speakers are sort of pointing like that. So, it's just not possible. You can't mistake natural sound for electronic sound.
No, that goes nicely into this. Can you tell who farted?
Yeah, if it's quiet enough. Yeah, if it's quiet enough, I could triangulate it and see if I get any reflections off the steps, and but it'd have to be a pretty loud squeaker,
You could tell what they ate from it, right?
Breathe through your mouth, you can taste it. Yeah. Don't start me off, Matt.
Oh man. Okay, so based on the ISR drones, which I believe is intelligence,
switch back to the screen. There we go.
What was that?
Oh, so sorry, I was looking at my Google Earth. I didn't know we'd switch back to.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, so the ISR drones, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. supposedly, just like we saw in Venezuela, they can use audio weapons, right? That are very powerful, that cause these people to have bleeding from their, orifices and throw open, that kind of stuff. Do you think that there could have been some like legitimate interference that could have thrown off some of your measurements and things that you're seeing, like low-C center failing, for example?
It's a good question, and it really is a good question. See, when it comes to sort of like audio manipulation, most things are pretty obvious. You can tell when somebody pitch bends something, for example. If it speeds up and slows down, the pitch sort of changes. But these days, I mean, you can see it on the digital decks that you get. You can actually speed it up and slow it down without changing the pitch. And all that's doing is creating extra samples and copying them in. So you will be able to measure that specifically. But other than shutting down the actual recording itself, I don't see, unless there's tech that I don't know about, obviously, and it's likely, there's a possibility, but, I just don't see how you'd get all of them phones to do it exactly the same thing, considering they've all got their own AGCs, they've all got their own limiters, they've all got their own delays, you see what I mean? There's so many variables amongst the devices, so it's almost like you'd expect to see more anomalous behavior, and things like this corner here that we're looking at wouldn't work out. It just wouldn't work with the map. Even the low-C center, even the ones that passed, they wouldn't have worked with the map.
So for some people are asking like what your background is, and I don't know if you want to tell them really quick, like your
I've got a degree. I've got a degree basically in audio mixing, mastering, audio engineering. We studied acoustics, all of that stuff, and then I did my honors in education and business.
Actual legitimate.
Yeah, I teach mixing and mastering to people that want to learn it. Obviously, so there's lots of producers out there that want to know how it works, and it's easier to show people than it is to read a book. So people do that. So it's something I've been doing since I was I'm 40 now. I've been doing it since I was 16. So it's not something that's new to me. But I don't know. I'm not a wizard. I don't know everything. But like. I know I've got a few tricks up my sleeve.
All right, let's see. I think we've covered this one earlier. What about firing into the air just to create cover sound?
Can't be done. I mean, how do you create a supersonic event if there's no bullet?
Let's see. Truth evades.
Truth evades, yeah.
Test right by the fountain. First stare directly next to the water. I love you forever. I'll love you forever.
Okay, I can test it. What, if you wouldn't mind, if there's things like this, right, people want me to test something and just run a quick map test, see whether it's viable. If it's viable, I'll push it further. But if you stick an X on a Google whatever, and just send it to either my email, which is in my description of my YouTube thing, or there's the Twitter's there, or X. It's not Twitter now, is it? It's X. Got to stop insulting Twitter. Insulting X. Anyway, send it there. Yeah, just put it on the wall. Send it as a message. If you don't want to be public about it, it's fine. Again, I happily test things. Obviously in my own time. But I happily test them. I mean, I think the more suggestions, the better, really.
And just real quick, if you guys haven't already, make sure you hit that like and subscribe, and make sure you check out Matt. He's Audio Freak with 2 underscores on X, and on YouTube, he's Audio-Freak. And let's go ahead and move on with our next supers. Thanks, Warriors of Racket. Great show. Keep asking questions, 100%. Let's see. You've already done an interview with him before, correct? So we did an initial interview just talking about the audio forensics and stuff in general. And then since then, he's done more testing. So every couple weeks, maybe every 2 to 3 weeks, he tests like a new location and releases a video, and then we do an update on it. And this is the first one that's passed. So that's why this was pretty important. Gary, thanks for the super. If there's a sonic crack from a bullet recorded, does it prove a bullet was fired? Does that crack or bullet path have to be near the tent to be recorded?
No, I mean, like you can hear the sonic event on most of the recordings. How strongly is the question? And which part of it is the sonic event and which part of it is when does it go transonic? How long was it supersonic for? You know, we don't know. We haven't got the recordings to sort of work that out yet, though I have got a few tricks up my sleeve, as I said. So if there's a sonic crack from a bullet recorded, does it prove the bullet was fired? Yes, because unless you know anything else that can fly above the speed of sound and sort of not get seen, you know, it's definitely not a fighter jet.
We have a lot of drone questions. Truffy Vase, thanks for the super. Let's see, Matt. My name is Matt, and I have run audio analysis, and I think this is accurate, or that I think is accurate. Run a test on the first step by the fountain. So I think that's a repeat, kind of the.
Oh, okay, yeah. Stick an X on the map. Send it to me email or my X account or whatever, and I'll take a little look for you. I'm happy to.
A lot of speaker questions.
Yeah, sorry guys, the speakers just can't do what was recorded there. You know, it's much like this. If you think about a microphone, yeah, my voice sounds different to what you're hearing through this microphone. It's similar, but it's different, and that is a good way of sort of like imagining why the speakers can't.
So PTR says, "Isn't the position of the red pen too high? The shot has to get under the tent and hit." Yeah, that's kind of what I was showing in the model. Assuming everything's perfectly to scale, the tent's in the exact perfect position and all that, it looks like at the top of that building, they would have to shoot through the tent, but on the sides of that building, kind of on the Hall of Flags little sculpture thing that's there, it looks like in theory, someone could probably shoot from there. The whole issue people.
Sorry, man.
Well, the issue people were saying is that they think that person would have been seen, and it'd be really dumb to try and shoot from there. And people also didn't look up there, right? Like if you're on the Hall of Flags and someone shoots right above your head, you're gonna look up right there, right? So I mean, it's going to be.
Well, there's actually something it's an audio phenomena that's actually really important, because when supersonics are involved, sound can behave a little bit funny, Matt. You see, so. Like there was a test I did before. It was one of them questions. I think it was about the difference between the frequencies. I was measuring the bass frequency coming from the right, and I was measuring the treble frequency coming from the left. And that is how I determined that I was just going to treat everything like a reflection rather than a thump and a crack. And there's a very specific phenomena that happens when supersonics are involved, which explains and actually answers the question that I was asking originally. Is why does the bass sound like it's coming from over there and the trebles sound like it's coming from over there? It's down to wave propagation, you know, and it being recorded. Now, you think about a microphone, like if a big bass wave hits it, it's kind of big, right? And it's going to push down on that diaphragm, but it's not going to actually record a tone until it's done a full revolution, you know, and then it has to do that full revolution to create the foundation for the tone, and then it has to go into sort of the second revolution to start creating the tone. That's at 40 hertz, that's what, 8.5 meters long, I said. I think that's right, something 8.4 meters, whatever it is. So that's 17 meters before you're really, you know, getting anything substantial out of it. So supersonics can throw that even further away. So there's more phenomena to consider, and there's definitely more things. But to answer the question there a little bit more, you could move that pin left, right, up, down, backwards, forwards by 5, 6, 7, whatever meters, and you'll still get the same results. And the ledge below it is 6 meters down-ish. So it's a possibility, yeah. I mean, whether it was up there or down there, kind of going to give you the same result.
We did a quick poll and we said, does audio forensics matter? 74% say yes, 19% say not sure, 7% say no.
Well, the 7%, you don't know what you want about. Sorry, guys.
All right. Ivan is Ivan. Thanks for the super. Does this debunk the shape charge hypothesis? I wouldn't say.
So.
Yeah. He thinks it would debunk it. I would say that all the different theories have strong points and weak points. And based on the audio, the way he measures it and that kind of stuff, it would basically debunk an explosion in that area.
You can't hide it.
Truth evades. Thanks for the super. Asking which thump failed, and if it did, why he thinks the location still works. Thump would be the impulse to measure with, not crack.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on where what do you mean where the thump failed? I mean, there's plenty of failures on the thumps, but what mic, what location, there's too many variables to that question. But yeah, I mean, on this location that I've just shown there of all the green lines, rather than going through all the Google stuff, you can watch my one for that. But they all work. Whereas if you go down to, so what I'm doing with the thump is I'm testing it twice, one as an independent source as a thump and one as a reflection. Can it make the distance as a reflection? Because I've put the question on the table, is it a reflection or is it a thump? And people are like, oh, it's a thump and it's a crack. It's like, okay, where's your evidence for that? Show me the evidence and I'll change the question. But until I've got actual evidence, then it's just an analysis. It's not me saying you're wrong, for anybody,
All right, let's see here. Gary, thanks for the super. To summarize this presentation, okay, there was a shot fired, and the audio forensics point to alleged shooter 2, which is that Range Day Bro area. Even though the sight lines are problematic, let me know, thanks. Yes, that's basically what we're seeing right now. Now, the sight lines are only problematic based on this model. When they did this model, the tent was not there. So that means that the tent was put in place manually by a person, which means it might not be perfect. It might not be the right size, might not be in the right location. So it's probably close.
They could have tricked you as well. They could have raised the roof by a meter. I mean, where's the chain of custody of evidence? I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying that they weren't. Just clear that up. I'm just saying mistakes can be made,
David Perkins, thanks for the super. I'm not sure if you didn't add a message on purpose, but we appreciate it. Savannah Barbieri, let me know if I'm saying that right, because I know that you do supers a lot and we appreciate it. Or it just didn't happen. So you're thinking like a shot didn't happen, he didn't die. Is that what you're saying? David Perkins, thanks for the super. William with a big super chat. We appreciate that. Wow. As the bullet's traveling twice the speed of sound, even if coming under Charlie's seat, you should measure from the impact sound first, then the crack, then the gunshot. This is what you hear or measure when downrange.
Yeah, you are right. Can you show me where the impact is? If you can locate it in the audio, because I'm struggling to find it. There's too much background noise happening. It happens. You got to imagine that the projectile is moving faster than the speed of sound. So by the time you hear the crack, it's kind of already there. And you've got to think about the limiters adding about 3 milliseconds of delay on the recording. There's all sorts of variables in there as well, depending on what device. So yeah, I mean, if anybody can actually hear the impact, let me know where, what recording, all of that, and I will extract it as best as I can. So you are right, and I said this from the beginning. If you throw impact into the equation when it comes to crack to bang, the whole thing collapses, because you hear the crack, and he's impacted 4 milliseconds before, and it's like, well, that's going too fast, and then the sound coming from the gun. Say if it was 130 meters where Tyler Robinson is, it should take 239, I think it was, milliseconds to travel from there to the mic. But why is the sound there instantly? It is, for me, it doesn't sound like a traditional crack. There's too many low frequencies in it. Crack usually is called a crack because it exists above 1 kilohertz, and I'm measuring down 40, 30. That's really low for a crack. You shouldn't get that sort of information with it. Doesn't mean that it's not possible if you boost it, but I'm just
So could that low 30, 40 you're talking about, the bass frequencies, could that be consistent with an explosion, even if it's not in that location?
Well, it depends. Again, it's phase comes in. The phase is such a big thing when it comes to audio, because you're not, the phase will tell you, you know, if it's a straight S, you know, there's no phase issues. If it's one line going up and down, then it's there's no phase issues. If you've got one line going up and down and suddenly it's interrupted, that's an issue. You know, you can say that that's a separate event, but when you zoom into these waveforms, you just don't see it.
All right, let's see. David Perkins, thanks for the super. I've been telling people from day one, the bullet hit Charlie Nove, above the right ear, and exited the neck. Watch the super slow motion videos. You can't miss it. Yeah, I think we all went through a phase, and some are still there, where, you know, when that information came out, people jumped on it and said, hey, yeah, it looks like he got, you know, hit from behind, and the hair movement and the way his neck was and everything. People are like, yeah, it's 100% that. That explains the way the wound looks. And then people kind of moved on from that because the angles and stuff didn't work from where Range Day Bro and some other people were saying that shot was taken. So they kind of, you know, dismissed that one. So like I said, I think a lot of these theories are still alive because there's some evidence that theoretically supports all of them in certain ways, not completely, but certain parts of them. And that's why you have all these people battling over whose theory is correct, when all we should be looking for is the truth, not who's correct, right?
What do we have? How can we measure it? You know, I mean, that's the inner dork in me, I'm afraid, but like that is exactly it. Can you measure it? Is it physically possible? Is it there? You know, again, illusions. David Blaine would tell you, you know, you can trick the mind into seeing whatever, you know, whatever. So sort of a bit of a funny one.
Ivan is Ivan, thanks for the chat. Erica's mother was involved with EMPs. Could the use of an EMP cause distortion? Do you know anything about EMPs?
Yeah, not without taking out absolutely every electronic device in the. I can make an EMP, believe it or not. You make a little one that you push the button, but they're totally illegal, and you're not allowed them in America or the UK. And no, I do not have one, but you can make them. And yeah, an EMP would just absolutely wipe the floor. Like you know, everything would go down, from the lights to the TV to the cameras to the phones, everything, mics, speakers, all of it. Boom, instant cut out. You know, so EMP, it's too much too much.
Hazel the baddie, thanks for the super chat. Number 2 shooter works, but the wound on the wrong side of his neck. In that theory from Range Day Bro in that general area, it's basically that the wound you see in the front is an exit wound. So that would still work based on the way it looks in a lot of people's opinion. Like right away, people said this looks like 100% like an exit wound. And then when they said that was the entrance and it hit his vertebrae and everything, that's when everyone got confused and started trying to come up with these crazy theories because it didn't work, right? But if you shot from behind, based on the angle, I still don't think the angle works at all. In all honesty, for that to be an exit wound in that spot,
confusing, isn't it?
And plus, we don't see like Valhalla said, we don't see the spray that would come out with an exit wound. We don't see like you would see flesh and blood and stuff coming out of that on camera, right? And we don't see that. So that's what makes this all very confusing, and that's why people are still digging into it months later.
It's definitely weird. I mean, I'm not here saying my test is the be all and end all. It's just, it's a possibility, and it's showing you know, it closes the test. It shows a positive.
It's metadata, right? It's more information that people can use in their investigations. All right, let's see. The waffles. Oh, you're making me hungry. Thanks for the super chat. I'm just jumping on, so I apologize if this has been asked, but what if the sound of the shot came from the speakers?
No, unfortunately not. Yeah, it has been asked. Speakers can't, the speakers on site cannot go as low as I've recorded, or what is recorded, not what I've recorded. And they cannot create the amplitude that would be required to move the atmosphere the way it moved. And it was quite a lot. If you look at R1 and R2 in the test, that's quite a lot of air shifting backwards and forwards between the buildings.
So Vanna Barberi with a huge super chat. Thank you.
Wow.
How would that bullet be able to get Charlie's neck on the left side? Yes, you're saying it right. I believe somehow it was staged.
Yeah, I have no idea, to be honest. I mean, I spoke to a rather clever gentleman named Gideon, and he's a physicist, works on robotics, all of that. He had CAD open, and it's like worked it all out with all the bones in the ear, the temporal bone, I think it is, or whatever it is. It went through the ear, hit the bone, which would angle it down, smash through the vertebrae, and come out the front. Now, whether that happened, I don't know. But it could have. Depends on the size of the round as well. That's a 5.56. I mean, that's a hell of a chunk to go through, yeah. But what if it was, only that big? I don't know.
Well, speed plays a huge role in it too.
Does
and
it?
obviously 5.56 is pretty quick. But
Yeah.
another thing that's interesting too, I can't remember the guy's name. If any of you actually in the chat, if you know the guy's name, the French guy, I believe he's like a French doctor or something, or surgeon. He was on Paramount Tactical saying that like the skin, like the bullet went in and like bounced off the skin, and the skin like pushed it back down to the vertebrae and all that stuff. Can you put his name in chat? I don't remember what the guy's name was.
No, I didn't see that one.
And real quick, if you guys, sorry if you can hear a dog running around upstairs. So this poll, the poll's done. Okay. All right. So based on everything you've seen here so far, if you believe that audio forensics should be included in everyone's theories, we'll say, if you believe that audio forensics should be taken into account in every theory, put a 1 in chat. If you don't think so, if you think it doesn't matter, put a 2.
Oh, the suspense is killing me. What's it looking like?
Looks like mostly 1s. So mostly people think it matters. And just really quick, make sure you guys show them a lot of love, because it's like what, 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the morning where you're at.
Yeah, 1:30.
So this is a late night for him.
Yep, staying up just for you guys. So I tried to have a nap earlier. It didn't happen.
So someone's saying no audio forensics will work in that space, in my opinion. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's working.
There you go.
I mean, I've got the measurements. I've got the audio. They fit the map. I mean, what more do you want? I mean, like, it's working.
Can you measure the pitch of the frequency for like an OT6 versus
somebody else asked me this. Can you determine? I mean, obviously size, speed, all of that. If we can determine any of that, then great. And maybe we can use offsets to sort of calculate a rough average. But like, to actually tell what gun was used or what bullet exactly was used is a hard one. A smaller bullet traveling at a higher speed is going to make a really high pitch whistle, like, whereas a larger bullet going at a slow speed is going to make a sort of, it's sort of different pitches. So, to actually physically tell what gun was fired or what bullet was used, I'm not too sure I would be the guy to deal with that. That would kind of be a ballistics and an audio sort of collaboration.
Let's see. Julie Borges, thanks for becoming a channel member. And to all the members, we appreciate you. And I'm trying to set up some stuff coming up here shortly for some members only videos and like interviews and stuff like that. So that'll be coming down the pipe. And then also some people are asking, I did update my logo. I think it works a little bit better. The previous one worked really well for like the farms training and that kind of stuff, and like on that kind of gear. But I wanted something that's easier to recognize, faster, and it's a little bit more simple. And make sure you guys hit that like if you're enjoying the stream, if you learned something, if you just like having the debate, hit that like and make sure you show YouTube that this is worth watching.
Oh, you said the magic word there, actually, Matt. Debate. Right, and I just wanted to clear this up, obviously, a bit more publicly. Is like the reason why I'm not debating with people. I mean, you kind of have to presuppose that a debate means to happen. You'd have to have two people on the same data set having a different, opinion or whatever to debate out which one's viable. But in order to do that, I'd need to conclude what I'm doing. There's no point me debating people when I'm only just measuring at the moment. I've got nothing to debate right now. So, just words mean something, and debate is not really the word I'd use. I'd happily have a conversation with anybody, provided it's in good faith and people are being honest and nice and all of that, whatever. And I'll happily talk to anybody. But the word debate for me is a little bit of a strong one, because I'm not going to put myself in a formal arena, shall I say, and sort of hash it out with anybody, because I have nothing to hash out. It's just the measurements and what they show.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I've had a lot of exposure to all these different theories from having guests on, but I could probably debate anyone on any of their theories and give them hell, because I can come up with what ifs forever, and that's not what should be happening. People should be bringing all the pieces that make sense, that are all proven, right? Not just like theoretically proven, but proven with like data and science and everything, and bring that together and try to figure out how do they all fit together and try to figure out what actually happened.
I think John Bray, Jordan Henshaw, is it, and August Nydream, I think they've all got something to put on the table.
I've had multiple people come to me and say, if you took this from Jordan and this from Algeist and this from AudioFreq and this piece from over there, then it all makes perfect sense, right? Like I've had multiple people tell me that.
And that is literally what the idea of the audio forensics is. It's to support, it can give you a pretty accurate reading, but it's to support, say, a sniper that knows bullets, or Matt or whatever, who knows guns and whatever, it's to support the next step, but without it, there's no constraints and you can just guess what you like. And that's not testing anything. It's sort of fantasy with formula, isn't it?
Yeah, and I kind of feel the same way as you. Like Jordan's calling me out to debate with him. It's just gotten boring at this point, to be honest. Like, it's just got to the point where I can argue points, and like you debated someone recently and he brought out some good points that you couldn't answer and things like that. It's just, what is it accomplishing besides feeding egos, right?
Well, this is it. This is exactly it. You're sort of, it's almost a position, you're positioning yourself as the authority. And it's like, well, why don't we all just work together? I didn't come here to fight,
Let's see, for this question, what is the smallest round that creates a sonic event but does not cause a blowout? So anything that goes over 1,100 feet per second can cause a supersonic event. As far as not blowing out, depends on what you're hitting. Depends on, like, are you hitting bone? Is it going through their torso? Is it going through their neck? Is it going through their hand? I mean, is it hitting bone on the way through? There's a lot of things that come into effect there. But like, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, maybe like a 22, right? Like a 22 rounder, 17 HMR, one of those, maybe, depending on what kind of bullet it is and what it's hitting, might not cause a blowout. But a blowout isn't guaranteed, even with larger rounds. There was a gentleman who was, I can't remember if he was he's special forces. I just don't remember which branch, but he basically was, he was shot multiple times by, very powerful rifles, and he didn't have exit wounds. The bullets were still in his body. So that proves that it can happen, but he was shot in the back. He wasn't shot in the neck. But yeah, I hope that kind of answers your question. There's so many variables involved. Let's see. Why did the gunshot sound in Bartholomew's video sound different?
Different microphone, different recording capabilities.
Higher quality, right?
Yeah, I think he had an actual shotgun mic, so it's literally designed for impact, and that kind of thing. So, whereas the phones, you can see it in the recording. Some of them, the AGC, which is automatic gain control. Soon as a loud event happens, it pushes the volume right down. So you have a massive spike, and then the residual sound's a tiny little line, which you can rebalance out by chopping the spike off and turning it up. But ultimately, yeah, like, you know, every phone's got its own encoder and its own sort of thing. You know, if you think iPhones, they all use the same chip, sure, but that chip has a little bit of a discrepancy on it as well. So it's the reason why you'd buy, you know, like different synths and different compressors, because they all have their own sort of characteristics. You know, it's the same with recording devices.
This is a good question. Sleep Lantern Stories. Did he use anything other than Ableton Live to do his analysis? That's a DAW. Was expecting spectral analysis and fancy stuff.
Okay, I mean, what does DAW stand for?
Digital Audio Workstation.
There we go. So, I mean, what more do you want? I mean, does it mean you've got all of the spectral tools in Ableton, and I've got obviously a list as long as my arm of different plugins and fancy stuff, but how does that help the analysis? I'm not here trying to look good, you know. I'd have probably had a shave if I was going to, you know, try and make myself look good, but it's got nothing to do with that, you know. You can use all the fancy tools you like, you can use all the fancy spreadsheets you like. It's not going to change the data, and it's not going to change the result. So a digital audio workstation is literally designed. Use Logic, use Ableton, use Audacity, fine. I mean, sure, I can put on some fancy spectrums and make it look good if you like, but it's not going to help anybody understand anything, because there's more numbers, there's more things to consider. You know, there's all these funky things going off in all directions and stereo analysis. It's just, why confuse everybody? And you know, why is it needed just to measure the time and frequency?
Yeah, Lantern said, fair enough, just curious. Wasn't meant as a criticism.
Yeah, no, I'm just, you know, it's, you know, like trying to lay it on a level.
Let's see. I'm just making sure I don't miss responses to those. Okay. Ivan is Ivan. Does this, we already did that. Make sure I'm in the right spot. Could it be both? Okay, this one, I think you've addressed this in the previous streams, but do you have the original legit audio? Like, have you made sure this audio isn't doctored in some kind of way?
Well, the ones that I'm using for this test are in mono, and they are ripped because I ripped them myself from very, very early on literally the day it happened. I ripped like a few recordings, so they are very unlikely edited at that point, because nobody's had time to sit down with them, cut them up and do whatever, right? I also have raw footage. I don't know whether raw is the right word when it comes to video, but like I have straight from the phone, emailed to me, you know, like through various contacts. Jason Goodman, give me a few. He's been, you know, good for his investigative skills are great, because he goes straight in there and gets it, you know. And yeah, he sent me a few recordings that are literally straight from the phone. So yeah, I have good recordings, I have bad recordings, and everything in between.
CJ Carenti, thanks for the super. If I provide you a 1-to-1 scale 3D map of UVU in Blender, could you recreate the audio from different locations and get an accurate audio result? If
you could use Blender, reach out to me in the either the YouTube or email me on the AudioFreqs 2025 email on my YouTube, or message me on Twitter or X, whatever it's called. And like, because I could probably do with your help, and maybe we can use the model and we can create an animation to explain the wavefront, the lobe, and the reflections, and what could be possible, what we're seeing, what we're measuring. You know, that would be really good. I was actually literally yesterday, somebody was asking me about can you do a video type thing. It's like, I have no idea what I'm doing, and I'm not going to stick the next 5 years in my life trying to learn a video, you know, graphics, Blender, you know, that kind of thing, trying to get really good at that to make it look good. So if you can, definitely reach out. I'll happily work with you. I mean, we'll you know, put the model in. We'll start, you know, mapping some of the animations and what actually is going on, so people have a visual clue rather than me just trying to really badly explain it.
And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Jordan, if you're still there, don't you do some work in Blender as well? Jordan might be able to help you. He's also a programmer. So
I did reach out to Jordan. I said, I think I don't know if it was on YouTube or X or something. I was like, let's jump on and you know, I'll compare notes or something. You know, maybe you know something I don't, but you think he just wanted to debate, and it was like, well, I'm not really interested in debating and arguing, but I'll, you know, happily hang out and have a conversation and just compare notes and see where we go. You know, anybody, you know, same with anybody.
Gary, thanks for the super. Alleged thesis. Signal sent to hit team. Shooter on the roof fires shot into the fountain or the ground. Somebody pushes button to electrify the mic. Pulse hit CK equals deception. I think that's a mixture of every theory.
Yeah, it's sort of like a bit of everything. But I mean, let's just look at the microphone, for example, right? They are sealed for a reason. I think it was it 1979? Somebody got electrocuted by holding a microphone, and ever since then they've been insulated. You know, if you stuck a charge enough to, like, you know, Green Mile someone, you know, like like if you think about an electric chair, for example, how much voltage do you need to go? You know, like why would you risk it dropping onto the floor and somebody standing on it and it going wrong? Why you know, what if the floor's wet and it just electrocuted the whole crowd? You know, like, it's like, why would you, you know, that would be so irresponsible. I mean, I know you're trying to take a guy out, but it would be so irresponsible. You know, you know, you know, the mic, if you put, I don't know, whatever it is, 500, 600 volts for it or whatever, then you're going to hear that on the speakers. You know, the speakers are going to blow up. You know, you're going to be sending more energy through them than they can handle, and you'll definitely see and hear
All right, I was muted. I'm guilty. All right, William, thanks for the super. Can you time the impact from the first frame showing impact on Charlie from the pathologist who has taken frames from many cameras?
And I tell you why I can't do that, right, is because I don't know the difference between the audio starting to record and the frame rate when it starts to record, and how much of a latency there is between the two. And then you have to account for all the latency on the audio as well, with the AGC, the limiter, the you know, EQ cuts and things like that. So, you know, there's a lot more. It becomes its own project. You know, it's quite a lot of variables, but that's not to say it can't be done. You know, it just needs very careful and meticulous analysis.
Okay. And I just want to be very clear too. We love Jordan Hinshaw. I
Yes.
talked to him on X. We email. Jordan was actually one of the first people that contacted me about anything having to do with Charlie Kirk early on. And he's doing great stuff on his channel. Make sure you guys go check him out on Jordan Hinshaw on YouTube and also on X. I believe it has some numbers. Actually, let me pull it up. I believe it has some numbers after it or something.
I love watching these experiments, man. They're so cool.
Well, he puts himself on the line. And early on, he was all decked out. Now I think he has a like a little dummy or like a model. But let me pull up his channel really quick so you can see it. Where is it? This one. So yeah, go check out Jordan Hinshaw. He does these. I think he still does nightly. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jordan. But he does these experiments, and I think he does them as lives. Yeah. So he wants people to debate him, which actually had a pretty cool setup where I think he was using like an X space, and you can hear the debate live. And then he has all these different tests that he does, and he's basically trying to perfectly recreate the shirt movement and the wound and that kind of stuff using what he's learned from like Mike McCash and special effects like you would use in Hollywood. It's actually pretty interesting.
They're super cool, man.
Let me make sure I don't miss any supers. Greg's, thanks for the super chat. Another late guy. Ever considered a mini Ginsu weapon, so like a knife or Chinese star or something, from the high-speed drone seen flying overhead. Neck wound was square. A Ginzu is guidable. You guys are great.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure.
I'm sure it exists. I mean,
I've never even heard of a Ginsu, but if you say it's like a little ninja star type mini one, you know.
I mean, I'm sure it could happen, but then that doesn't explain the sonic event. Like maybe if somehow that did happen, it would have to be insanely accurate from a distance, because you don't really see drones up close in like the camera and video and everything that we have. But I'm sure maybe that something like that could happen. But
Well,
I don't think that.
I was going to say, I don't know. I mean, them ninjas throw things pretty hard, Matt.
Yeah, very accurately.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
and you don't see them,
No,
right?
that's what I'm saying. You know, they're crafty
There
little
could have been a
buggers.
ninja. There could have been a ninja on stage with Charlie right there, and you wouldn't see him because he's a ninja.
He's hiding in the shadow, mate.
And he's just
No,
right there. Right?
I'm not taking a piss. I'm sorry.
Oh man.
But yeah, no, never heard of a mini Ginsu. If I've actually probably going to look into that myself.
Let's see. Jordan Hinshaw, thanks for the super. I like to debate because I want to face the problems with my views as directly as possible. It is the most efficient QC possible. I don't disagree.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree, but I've got nothing to debate, buddy. That's all it is. It's like, what, I haven't got anything concluded, so how can I debate you? I mean, and I'm not really interested in debates, because I'd just rather have a conversation with you, see where we align and where we don't. It's okay. There's no pressure, no problem, mate. You know, if you're busy, you're busy. It's all good.
Let's see. We have I Don't Give a Damn. Thanks for the super from Woodbury Balcony.
I love the name.
And the SLC Tribune video, it does look like those guys have no reaction. And one of them looks like he's holding a remote, but I couldn't find better photo video. I'm sorry I'm late. Woodbury Balcony. I think I know what you're talking about.
Is that the one that's under Sorensen, or is that the one to the right of Charlie on the FG? Is it FG building? I don't know. I'm terrible with the names.
No, there's a video here that they released, and it's like more things that people saw, I believe. If that's the correct one. Let me see if I can find it here really quick. Where is that video? Yeah, here we go. What we saw.
Pretended like I was invisible.
Let's see if I can find it really quick. And share. I think he's talking about when the actual shot rang out. There was a couple guys standing on, right? I think it's this. Those guys that were right there that I can't find again. Give me a second here. Those guys. So I think is this what you're talking about? I Don't Give a Damn. Yeah, like this is like during the shot, right? It's just like where these guys are just hanging out on their phone.
Sorry, is that the building that's just worked out, or is that the one the opposite side?
It's on the same side as the one you worked out.
Yeah, okay, yeah, so it's I don't know what it's called. I would go with FG building, but yeah.
You can see the reflection.
Charlie's right, yeah.
Yeah, you can see the reflection of
the yeah. Well played.
So, but I think that's what you're talking about. But you're saying they have no reaction. One looks like he's holding a remote or something, or radio, right? I don't know if this is a security guy, but I mean, it could be his wallet.
Could be a phone.
Can't really zoom in, and it's dark. Interesting. But yeah, we did see this, and we did see that one of them or someone similar on the same balcony over here has a gun. So I don't know if that's like an undercover cop or something, but I know based on what I've heard, there was only 6 police officers, and the rest were all security for Brian Harple. All right. Babs, thanks for the super. I don't know if you forgot a message, but you can add messages. Watcher UV tube. Watcher of the tube. Okay. Could the Google map be a bad representation because you can't go into the actual area just above it?
What do you mean?
As far as measurements, measuring the sound waves.
Yeah, you can't measure angles. So yeah, I mean, if there was a blender model and whatever, and it was all the same and everything was kosher, then it would be easier to work out using and more accurate as well, using being able to put in the actual angles from one place to the next. I can work out, ones that need to be worked out, with Pythagoras' theorem, but I mean, ultimately it would be easier just to, map it in the 3D space. But again, I'm just not a video guy. I'm just not the graphics guy. But yes, good question. I mean, yes and no. I mean, for the sake of a couple of meters, does it really matter? I mean, like, it's a wavefront. It's a pretty big energy, pretty wide thing, quite substantial in size. Once it's traveled 100 meters or 50 meters or whatever, it gets bigger. So yes and no.
And isn't it true that you can have a supersonic event when the bullet first obviously passes the mic, and then have maybe one or two quick reflections that are still supersonic caught in other mics?
Well, yeah, this is one of the questions I raised in my crack to bang question. It was like, so one, how long's the bullet supersonic for? How are you proving that you're hearing the crack from the bullet as if it was the bullet, or are you hearing a reflection of the crack from previous? How do you know? I mean, unless you've got answers to that, you can't really know.
And we answered this earlier, but there's different people here now. Did you want to answer this one? Does the physical match of the crowd make a difference to your calculations?
No, I mean, they will absorb a little bit of the high end, frequencies. But I mean, if you look on the A1 or whatever door and you break it down into frequencies like I have, there's a hell of a lot in the high end. So it's not doing as much as what people think it would. There's just, if that was the case, then, or World War II, for example, you wouldn't have heard anything on the other side of the people, would you? So you can't hide away from like that. So no, it doesn't make a difference to the calculations.
Is that your dog?
No, that's my son's pet rats.
Okay. Where's the is the pup sleeping? Some people are asking about seeing the dog.
Yeah, he's over there. He's got his nuts out at the moment. It's a little bit inappropriate.
Oh yeah, he's not ready for springtime.
No, he's done from his walk earlier. Yeah, this time of night, mate, you're not getting anything out of him.
All right, just making sure we didn't miss any super chats. All right, so you obviously you've been doing this. This is super late night for you. We've been going on for 2 hours now. Make sure you guys go and follow him over at audio__freak on X, and on YouTube he's at audio-freak. Make sure you guys show him some love, and obviously hit that like and subscribe. And we appreciate you guys being here with us. But Matt, as always, it's always a pleasure. And
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Hopefully we'll see you again once you figure out a couple more.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And to those, if you know Blender, if you can help them out with that project, the person that sent you the super chat, reach out to them. Where can they reach you at?
In the description on my YouTube channel, I've put an X and an email that I set up specifically for this. So yeah, feel free.
All right, awesome. And everyone else, we appreciate you being here, and we hope you have a good night. See you on the next one.